What's going on, guys? Nerdlocker.com here with your comic book reviews this week, and I'm starting off with All New X-Men number 10. Still loving this series. This is the whole story between the Uncanny X-Men coming to the school and basically telling them, hey, we have a school too, and Scott's telling everybody that he has no problems with anybody. They're all mutants. They all need to be working together. Wolverine and his X-Men still think that Scott needs to pay for his crime, or answer for his crimes with killing Professor Xavier at the end of Avengers vs. X-Men. But Scott just thinks, you know, he'll pay for that in due time. He feels that he was possessed by Phoenix and he would never have done that any other way. And there is a cliffhanger at the end of this issue, but they don't show it. They just say that one of the original X-Men are going to this new school with Cyclops. And I kind of wish they would have shown it, because then I could have been like, oh my God, what's the next issue going to be? But I guess that's going to be it. My thoughts are Jean Grey. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Let me know what you guys thought.
Hey there, guys. Gabby here with my comic reviews this week. Up first, I got to read Age of Ultron, number 4. Whoa, man. This is one of those issues where it's still kind of slow. It's still building up with the story, and you get a lot more like understanding of what's going on. Kind of tells you, kind of lets you like understand where the story is going to go and the implications that like of certain actions that happened in the past and the future. It's awesome. We got a time travel story on our hands pretty much. So I cannot wait for that, because I love that. It makes total sense to me. It's Age of Ultron. Marvel has had ages of certain people, villains particularly, before. So it's awesome that they're actually doing it with this really cool character who truthfully should have destroyed everyone years ago, and he hasn't yet. So this is kind of cool that it actually does happen in some way, shape, and form. But in the very beginning of the issue, someone gets murdered, and it's really horrifying, and it comes out of nowhere, and you don't think it's going to happen, and you don't think it could happen, but it does, and it was heartbreaking to me. It was actually really, really hard to read that and kind of like keep going. Like I had to stop for a second. But anyways, I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, because it got all that out of me. Made me like all over the place. But definitely check this out. One of my favorite books right now. Brian Michael Bendis, you're awesome, man.
This week I got to review Animal Man number 19 by Jeff Lemire. I stick by my original review of this book, that it's very Pet Sematary-ish, but the story in this issue really does a really good job of placing you in the thickness of a death in the family. Not anything to do with Batman, but it really places you in how sad it is for a superhero to lose his son, you know, and I'm not giving any spoilers that happened previously in the book, but for a superhero to lose his son and really be the blame of it, there's a lot of guilt there, and I can't say that I can really can relate, but it was a really good issue, and I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls for that.
Hey guys, I got to read Superior Spider-Man number 7 this week, and I have to say I'm actually really enjoying this book. I know a lot of people, it's either really, really good or really, really bad, but I think it's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy seeing Peter interacting with Doc Ock, and this issue is really awesome because he actually makes a little bit of progress with him, which is really cool. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's pretty exciting. And also, the Avengers come in, and oh man, next issue is going to be amazing. So definitely check this book out. I'm giving it 4 Nerd Skulls.
Hi everyone, this is Lucy, and I'm doing my comic book review on the new Batman Detectives comic, issue number 19. It is an 80-page spectacular. It does have 5 stories in one. 4 out of the 5 stories do tie in with the creation of Bat People and Man-Bat and how Batman handles that. It also has a little cameo with Batwoman in there and Penguin. My favorite story has to be with Bane and the Court of Owls. I do wish the story was much longer, but it will have to do. I would like to give this comic book review 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
All right, I got to read Green Lantern 19, and this is getting kind of sad because I realized that Geoff Johns is off like next issue, and that really got me down. But this is a really, really good issue. Some crazy, giant stuff happens. I mean, Geoff Johns has already made his mark on the character of Green Lantern and that whole just universe. And he keeps going. I mean, this is huge what happens in this issue. I don't want to give any spoilers, ruin anybody's day, but this is huge. And I want to see how he's going to top it. I want to see how this whole thing comes to a crazy conclusion next issue. I can't wait. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
All right, guys. I also got to read Star Wars Dark Times #3 this week, and as I said before when I reviewed this issue, this story before, it's a really great take on something that's really terrible time in Star Wars. It's sad to think about. People are just getting butchered left and right, and you're finding these people and you're following their part of the story also, and they're really cool, and I don't know what's going to happen to them. And this whole issue wasn't really like, oh man, that happened. Oh, you see some really messed up stuff, and things get explained that are really jacked up, but that's to be expected with the story. People are getting hunted down. It's going to be dark, and it really was. It's in the title. It lives up to its name. It's really great to see the Empire kind of having a little bit of a conscience and be like, no, we need to take care of this ourselves. People being backstabbed, betrayed. Great action in this book as well, and the artwork is too much like Frank Quitely for me to not give it massive amounts of praise. So I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, a really great Star Wars title, getting me amped up to go and see Episode 7 in 2 years, whatever, I don't care, but still getting me amped up. So check this book out, guys.
So I got to read Swamp Thing #19 this week, and it has been a while since I've read this book, but it did a fantastic job of just really throwing me back into it, and not needing to know anything about what's going on in the book was really awesome. I'll say this, that Swamp Thing is probably the biggest badass in the universe for being able to pull off growing flowers off of his shoulders and still look completely awesome. He travels through like plants, which is cool. So anywhere a plant is growing, he can travel there, and they show all of that in this book, which is really cool. And seeing him grow from a blade of grass was awesome. Seeing him fight Scarecrow in this science-y way was really cool too. But at the end of the day, he's really just a big hippie, and I'm fond of that. But he's kind of like the D. Snyder for plants. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls, and you should all check it out.
I got to read Bedlam #6 this week. Still enjoying this book. This is a really action-packed issue. They keep going between a fight and a really big discussion, but both really build up momentum. And I thought that was very well done, because there's actually no words in the actual fighting, and they don't stop talking in the conversation. I mean, it's long and lengthy, and it took me a little while to get through this book, but this has been awesome. I love this book. I love where this is going. The last page is this big reveal that there's a lot more happening than we previously thought, and I'd like to see how this whole unfolds, just to see what we lead to. But I'm giving this 4 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Let me know what you thought.
This week I read 68 Jungle Gym, which is part 1 of 4 in a new 68 arc, and it was really just a big excuse for gore, which I'm all about. But it was actually a really good story taking place in Nam 1968. It's a fantastic book, and it's got zombies. So for that, I'm going to give it 3.5 Nerd Skulls. Check it out.
I've got a review of Thanos Rising #1, and I'm one of those people who knows nothing about Thanos. I've always wanted to, I've just never had the opportunity to actually take one of his books in my hands and read it. And this was definitely a great place to start. I mean, we're getting all of his background, and you're just witnessing the creation of a villain, which is really awesome to read and to just see and flip through the pages. And it's, it's a little heartbreaking. There's just a lot to this story, and I can't wait to see it progress. So I'm giving this book 5 Nerd Skulls.
All right, guys, I got to read Polarity #1, the brand new comic book from singer-songwriter Max Bemis, and this is awesome. It's a really good book. I was hopeful for this book, and it paid off. We are introduced to Tim, the main character of the book, and he kind of talks about his history of discovering how he was bipolar and becoming an artist through that, and just he kind of realizes he's living this sort of fake life that he wasn't really enjoying through the medication he was taking, and just the artist he's become, and the girl that he's with, and everything else. And you watch him stop taking his medication and sort of watch his mind unravel, and all these things start happening. And the issue ends with something really crazy, and it's kind of Tim asking himself if this is a delusion he's having or if this is real life. So we haven't really seen any of his superpowers yet. I mean, you kind of do, but he doesn't know if this is, just a delusion of his or if this is actually going on. But this issue's very well done. Please pick it up. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. And if you want to go and check nerdlocker.com, I actually did an interview with Mr. Max Bemis a while back, so you should check that out as well.
All right, guys, I get to read Mice Templar Legend #1, and I really like this book. I've always liked this book. It's been, it seems like it's a fun, cool take on like knights and fighting and, you know, sorcery and old-timiness. But it's not lighthearted at all. It's dark, and it has like some heft to it, and it starts off a little like, you know, lighthearted, but it really like hits home sometimes. It gets there, and this explains a lot of the backstory, gets people kind of caught up on what's going on, and it has a great ending that you probably won't get. Like, I didn't get fully. Didn't really hit me as hard as I know some people who've been following this since issue 1 will probably be like, oh my god, what the hell just happened? It's crazy. But it doesn't really end like in a bad way. It's like, oh, okay, I want to see where this goes. This is going to be big stories in the future. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. I'm only going to give it 3.5 Nerd Skulls, but a great title nonetheless. Check it out. Mice Templar Legends #1.
Lock and Key Omega #4 came out this week. You know I was all over this title. I mean, I can't say enough how beautiful Gabriel Rodriguez's artwork in this form. When he's able to really open up and have his own ideas in this series, it really, you can see it in the pages. And #4, like I've said, the months coming forward, each issue really feels like it's ending right now because it's such like an epic event that's going on right now in the ending of Lock and Key. This is the last arc of the series. And, you know, you'd think at some point they'd lose their steam. Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez, that team up is getting stronger and stronger, and it just depresses me that the book is ending in just 2 issues. In this issue, we see a whole bunch of stuff happening. Bode is still a ghost, and we've still got a whole bunch of stuff happening with the Omega Key and everything, and the Crown of Shadows is in the wrong hands. It's a lot of exciting stuff. You got to check out this book. As always, I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls. Please read Lock and Key.
So this week I got to catch up on an awesome book from last week, which was Jonathan Hickman's brand new awesome comic, East of West, #1, and oh man, I don't even know where to begin with this. This was an awesome sci-fi book. We've got the future, we have the Civil War, we have the nation divided, we have the 4 horsemen, which are the main characters. I can't wait to see how this story unfolds because there's so much going on that there's a lot of mystery to it. And I feel like we're just slowly seeing all these puzzle pieces come together. And this is just the first issue. So definitely check out this book and keep reading it. I'm giving this book 5 Nerd Skulls.
I got to read Abe Sapien #1, which is a new ongoing series, which I couldn't be any more happy about. I love Abe Sapien, and the last 4 months he's been comatose. And the last time before that, when he was comatose, he kind of started to figure out where he came from and who he was, but it was just a brief little flash of that. Now that he's been out for 4 months and he came back in the last in the last BPRD issue, it's pretty apparent that he has the full history of where he came from and what he is and, you know, who he is, what's going on. And this is awesome. And this is an ongoing series. I'm so stoked to just see Abe more often because he's honestly my favorite character in the whole BPRD universe. And yeah, this is awesome. It's action-packed. I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 Nerd Skulls.